Take a quick look at your hands. Which one did you instinctively use to pick up your phone? If it was your right hand? Congratulations, you're part of about 90% of humanity. Now here's the weird part. Nobody ever sat you down as a kid and said, okay, from now on, this is your official hand. You just started using it. And somehow, billions of other people did the exact same thing. If humans have two perfectly good hands, shouldn't the odds be 50-50? Why isn't half the world left-handed? Who or what decided that almost everyone would favor their right hand? As it turns out, the answer isn't hiding in your hands at all. It's hiding inside your brain. And in a decision evolution started making hundreds of thousands of years before you were born. If an alien visited Earth and watched humans for a day, it would probably notice something strange almost immediately. Most people write with their right hand, throw with their right hand, brush their teeth with their right hand, open doors with their right hand, shake hands with their right hand. At some point, the alien would probably ask, did humans forget they have another arm? Seriously though, this is one of the biggest patterns in human behavior. Around 90% of people are right-handed, while only about 10% are left-handed. That makes handedness one of the most uneven traits in our entire species. And scientists have been trying to figure out why for decades. The obvious answer would be genetics. Maybe there's simply a right-handed gene. But that's where things get weird. There isn't one. Scientists have discovered that dozens, possibly even hundreds of genes seem to play a small role, but none of them can completely predict which hand you'll end up using. Even identical twins, who share almost exactly the same DNA, don't always have the same dominant hand. One twin can be right-handed, while the other is left-handed. Imagine copying someone's homework perfectly, and still getting a different answer. So if it's not controlled by one magical gene, what's going on? The answer starts in your brain. Your brain has two halves, called hemispheres. Here's the funny part. The left side of your brain controls most of the right side of your body. The right side controls most of the left. Apparently, your brain looked at human anatomy and thought, let's make this unnecessarily confusing. Scientists believe the left hemisphere gradually became better at language and precise hand movements. That combination turned out to be incredibly useful. Think about writing. You're controlling tiny finger muscles while turning thoughts into words. Or imagine making a stone spear thousands of years ago. One tiny mistake, and instead of making a weapon, you've accidentally invented a very expensive rock. The same side of the brain that became specialized for communication also became incredibly good at precise movements. Since the left hemisphere controls your right hand, most humans naturally became right-handed. But why would evolution allow one side to become dominant in the first place? Wouldn't it be better if both sides were equally good at everything? Surprisingly, probably not. Imagine your brain as an office. If every employee tried doing every job at the same time, nothing would ever get finished. Instead, departments specialize. One handles accounting, another handles marketing. Someone pretends to understand the printer. Your brain works in a similar way. By giving certain jobs to one hemisphere, it becomes faster and more efficient. That specialization likely gave our ancestors a survival advantage. Early humans depended on incredibly precise movements. They made stone tools, built shelters, prepared food, threw spears. One bad throw didn't just mean missing dinner. Sometimes it meant becoming dinner. Over thousands of generations, brains that were better at coordinating precise movements had a slight advantage, not a huge one, just enough to survive a little more often. And evolution doesn't need massive improvements. Tiny advantages, repeated over hundreds of thousands of years, eventually become common. But if being right-handed was so successful, why do left-handed people still exist? Shouldn't evolution have erased them completely? This is where the story gets even stranger. Being rare can actually be an advantage. Imagine you're a boxer. You've spent your entire career practicing against right-handed opponents. Then suddenly, your next opponent is left-handed. Everything feels backwards. Their punches come from angles you're not used to. Your instincts suddenly stop working. It's like training your whole life to fight dragons. And then someone sends a giant penguin. Professional sports still show this effect today. Left-handed athletes are often overrepresented in sports like boxing, baseball, fencing, and tennis because opponents face them less often. Being different makes you unpredictable. Scientists think this rare advantage may have helped left-handedness survive throughout human history. If left-handed people became too common, that advantage would disappear. But if they stayed rare, they remained just unpredictable enough. It's almost like evolution decided that having around one left-handed person in every group kept things interesting. Humans, however, didn't always appreciate that difference. For centuries, being left-handed was seen as something bad in many cultures. Children were forced to switch hands in school. Some teachers even tied a child's left hand behind their back to stop them from writing with it. Imagine getting detention because your brain picked the wrong default settings before you were born. Even language has been unfair to left-handed people. The word right often means correct. Meanwhile, the English word "he's sinister" comes from the Latin word for left. Left-handed people really lost the public relations campaign. Thankfully, science tells a very different story today. Being left-handed isn't a defect. It isn't a mistake. It's simply another version of being human, a variation that's been with our species for thousands of generations. So why is almost everyone right-handed? It's not because the right hand is stronger. It's not because your parents secretly trained you. And it's definitely not because left hands are just decorative. It's because your brain evolved to specialize. Your ancestors benefited from precise coordination, and over countless generations, that preference became the norm. Yet evolution never completely got rid of left-handed people. Instead, it quietly kept them around, just enough to give humanity a little unpredictability. So the next time you instinctively reach for your phone, pick up a spoon, or wave at someone, remember, you're following a pattern that's older than cities, older than farming, and possibly older than our own species. And if you're left-handed, congratulations. You've been confusing right-handed people for thousands of years.